All right, let's talk about the very core of you, that incredible piece of architecture we call the spine and ribs. Seriously, think of it. It's the central tower holding you up, and at the same time, it's this perfectly designed suit of armor for your most important organs. So let's get right into it.
So let me start with a question for you. Your body has this super important master cable. Think of it like a fiber optic network of nerves running from your brain down to everything else. What on earth protects it? Well, the answer is this amazing structure we're looking at today, your vertebral column. And get this, it's not just one stiff rod. It's actually a stack of 33 individual bones that give you both incredible strength and amazing flexibility.
We're going to start our journey right at the very top, with the 7 vertebrae in your neck. This is what's known as the cervical spine, and it is, by far, the most delicate and movable part of the whole setup. Yep, that's the number, 7. They're labeled C1 through C7. And hey, if you want a really easy way to remember the numbers we're about to cover, just think about your meals. You have breakfast around 7 a.m., right? Well, that's for the 7 cervical vertebrae. What's just wild is that these 7 little bones have such a massive job. They form a protective tunnel for the spinal cord, they hold up the entire weight of your head, and they let you nod yes, shake your head no, and tilt it side to side. It's exactly why an injury like whiplash can be so dangerous. It messes with the very structures that protect the nerve signals going out to your entire body.
Okay, let's move down a bit and see how this whole thing builds out into, well, basically a protective fortress. We're now in the upper and middle back. This is the thoracic region, and it teams up with the ribs to become a personal bodyguard for your heart and lungs. So, the thoracic spine is the anchor point for all of your ribs. And you'll notice something pretty clever here. As we go down the back, the vertebrae get bigger and bigger. You know, it makes sense. Form follows function. They have to be stronger to handle more of your body's weight.
And the magic number for this section? It's 12. T1 all the way down to T12. And it is no coincidence at all that you also have 12 pairs of ribs. And if we're sticking with our mealtime trick, you eat lunch around 12 p.m. for the 12 thoracic vertebrae. See? Easy.
The job here is really all about stability and protection. I mean, yeah, the thoracic vertebrae are still shielding the spinal cord, but their really unique job is to connect, or what we call articulate, with the ribs, creating that strong but still flexible rib cage. And speaking of the ribs, let's take a closer look at this amazing cage, because, not all 12 pairs are the same. They're actually sorted into 3 different types based on how they connect up at the front of your body. So check this out. The first 7 pairs are called true ribs. Think of them as having their own private connection directly to the sternum through cartilage. Then you've got pairs 8, 9, and 10. They're the false ribs because they kind of piggyback onto the cartilage of the 7th rib. And finally, you have pairs 11 and 12, the floating ribs. Now, this isn't some design mistake. It's actually super smart. It protects your kidneys from the back without getting in the way of your diaphragm's movement. And that brings us to this stuff called costal cartilage. It is so important. It's not rigid bone, it's flexible. And why is that? Well, think about it. Every single time you take a breath, your lungs fill up with air, and your ribcage has to expand with them. This cartilage is what gives it that essential flex. It's just an absolutely brilliant design.
All right, moving even further down, we get to the absolute powerhouse of the spine, the lumbar region. This is your lower back, and it is engineered for some serious heavy lifting and support.
We've got 5 vertebrae here, L1 to L5. And our last mealtime reminder, dinner is around 5 p.m. Just look at how big and chunky these vertebrae are. They are absolutely built to support the weight of your entire upper body. So their jobs are, you guessed it, critical. They keep protecting the spinal cord, they allow for big movements like bending over and twisting, and they bear most of your body's weight. All that heavy lifting is also why this area can be prone to problems like herniated discs, where that cushion between the vertebrae gets stressed out. Literally every time you lift anything, you have your lumbar spine to thank for doing the hard work.
And at last, we've made it to the base of the spine, the foundation. This part is super unique because what starts out as separate bones when you're a kid actually becomes one solid fused structure when you're an adult.
Yeah, this is a pretty fascinating process. As a kid, you have 5 separate sacral vertebrae, but as you grow up, they start to fuse together. By the time you're about 26, they formed a single, solid, triangular bone called the sacrum. And this creates an incredibly strong and stable platform that connects your spine to your hip bones.
And right there at the very, very tip, we find the coccyx, which pretty much everyone knows as the tailbone. Just like the sacrum, it's also a fused bone, usually made up of 4 tiny separate bones that have joined together.
Now, it might be small, but the coccyx has a couple of really important jobs. It works like a shock absorber when you sit down, and it's also a crucial anchor point for a bunch of ligaments and muscles in your pelvic floor that, help support your internal organs. Okay, wow, we have covered a lot about your body's internal blueprint. So let's just do a quick, fun knowledge check to see what stuck. You ready?
First question for you. I'll give you a second. Think about the part of your spine that connects to all the ribs. How many thoracic vertebrae are there?
12. That's right, one for each pair of ribs. Nicely done.
Okay, next up, ribs 1 through 7. The ones that have their own direct line to the sternum. What's their special name? Think about it.
They are the true ribs.
Awesome, you're on a roll.
And so for our final thought, we've seen how this whole structure is a protective shield, a flexible support tower, and a dynamic foundation all at the same time. It's rigid enough to protect our most fragile nerves, but flexible enough to let us bend and twist and live our lives. So the real thing to think about is, knowing how complex it is, how does this incredible, flexible armor shape the way you move through your world every single day?